Are you tired of telling your kids what to do and they don't listen? They have an attitude, a bunch of back talk, and are disobedient? Kids, are you tired of your parents always telling you what to do and feeling like you have no say-so in your life? Well, I want to introduce to you what God has to say about it, because I'm sure the way God says to do it is the right way. My name is Phil with Live Transform Ministry, and I just want to share some thoughts with you out of Ephesians chapter 6, starting in verse 1, that we can apply to our lives if you're a parent or if you're a child, so that you can be in line with what God says to do. Starting in verse 1, it says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right." All right, so first of all, children, you need to obey your parents because God said it's right. And generally, when God says something, that's the way you should be doing it, even if you don't agree. Starting in verse 2, "Honor your father and your mother. This is the first command with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land." So honor your father and mother tells us that your attitude, the way you do this, needs to be a certain way. You don't need to be doing it with a negative attitude, but you need to do it with a positive attitude, because that's what honoring is. And not only that, God asked you to do it. So God asked you to do it, and you should be doing it out of reverence for your parents, because the Bible tells you that your parents are the ones God placed them in the position to love you and care for you. So that's why you should be honoring your parents. And also, there's a promise attached to it. This is the first promise in the 10 commandments. This is the 5th commandment. And like Paul said, this is the first one that has a promise attached to it, that life will go well for you and that you will live long in the land. Well, those are 2 bonuses on top of the fact that you should already be listening to what God said, and you should be doing what your parents said because God placed them over you and you love them and respect them. But there's a thing for the parents. It says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord." So back in this culture, fathers were the more powerful parent. Women and children were kind of seen as to be subservient and quiet. And so just because you as the father are placed in the leadership role of the family does not give you the right to wield your power over your children and make them feel less than and make them feel like they are not important and basically beat them down verbally or even physically. This is telling you, don't provoke them to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. You are to bring them up in the way that they should grow in the Lord by loving God, respecting others, and following God's word. That leads to a fruitful life, a life that produces the thing that God has for you already set. But that's your job, to discipline them. And the Bible talks about discipline. God disciplines those he loves. So do your parents. Parents discipline those they love. Children, if your parents didn't love you, they wouldn't discipline you. They would let you go down the wrong path, and ultimately you're going to have to deal with the consequences. But if your parents love you, your parents are going to put you on the right path, even if you don't like it at the time. Ultimately, you're going to be able to look back and realize it was better for you. So we can both learn a lesson from this. Parents or fathers, but especially both parents, we need to love our children and discipline them and help them in the instruction of the Lord. And children, you need to honor your parents and love them. So I give you all a challenge. Mothers, fathers, speak respectfully to your kids. Next time they ask you something or they're not doing the right thing, try to honor and respect them by giving them instruction and discipline in a loving way. And children, when your parents ask you to do something, get rid of the attitude and understand that they love you and they're trying to help you. So hold back that desire to respond and react in a negative way. And don't react, respond in an honorable way like God asked you to. Number 1, because you love God. Number 2, because you love and respect your parents. And like Jesus said, Jesus summed it all up to make it nice and simple for us. So let's do it. Let's love God. Let's love others. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.